Yeah.
The city council streams are like really small.
I went and looked it up. See what it looks like. It's like, okay. Fair enough back there.
Yeah, just a second. I've hit start stream, but I can't tell if it's actually streaming. It doesn't look like it is to me.
Yes, you know, we could probably check it.
It says started, yes. So, I believe we are live and ready to go.
Okay, so we will get started. So Steve, would you please take roll?
I will. Joe Greer,
Present?
Bevan.
Present.
Michelle Jensen is absent. Kayla McNay is currently absent. John Nesmith.
Present.
Mike Pepin.
Present.
Craig Steele is currently absent, but said he will be joining us later. So we'll note the time for the record when he comes in. Hannah Sturdivant.
Here.
Jessica West.
Present.
Thank you. So the first item of business would be the adoption of the agenda. Could I get someone to make a motion to adopt the agenda?
Madam President,
Uh-huh.
I move that we adopt the agenda.
John Nesmith seconds.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. The next item would be the approval of the November 15th special meeting minutes.
Madam President, I move that we approve the meeting minutes.
John Nesmith seconds.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Next item would be announcements. We have a Christmas presentation from Steve Sidoy.
That's me. So Merry Christmas to everyone. And we'll talk later about all of the Christmas and Meridian events that have been going on. But, you know, we want to say thank you to the commission. So I wanted to go on record during the announcement section just to express our appreciation to the commission for all the volunteer hours and service and work that you put in on behalf of this community and that helps out our department. We really appreciate everything that you are doing. At the close of the meeting, we do have a Christmas card and a small gift that I'll present as a thank you, but I didn't want to wait till the end. I wanted to go on record at the beginning to say thank you officially and note that as part of the record. So we appreciate you very much and hope you have a very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year as the holiday season continues to roll on.
Thank you, Steve. Merry Christmas to you. It has been a good Christmas in Meridian. So the next item that we have under announcements would be the committee assignments. Typically, we would go through the different committees and discuss which assignment everyone would prefer. However, after some discussion internally, we feel that the committees were generated in the beginning because we needed them to make some decisions. And as things have transpired, we don't necessarily need the committee meetings at every commission meeting that we have. So we have discussed dissolving the committees until, or unless we specifically need one created for something specific, or even having a workshop or a special meeting. And then the information can be addressed through the Parks and Rec staff reports. So, did I cover that?
I think you did. I mean, we can ask for feedback, but I'll just give my perspective. We've had some feedback that the committee meetings, as they have been recently, have been a lot of glorified staff reports, if you will. It's a lot of staff reporting out in the marketing committees, you know, pathways. It's difficult at the Pathways Committee to give homework assignments for the commissioners to work on, so it's really just a lot of updates. Marketing, you know, there's been a lot of event planning, and when we set up those committees, the events were a lot of them in their fledgling state and needing a lot of direction, guidance, and input. Now we have a few years under our belt with those events, and they seem to be more streamlined and more, again, in staff update mode, which we can always give those staff updates as part of our staff reports. We can also, if there's a special event or topic or pathways or whatever that that are timely, we can just make it an agenda item for the full commission to hear and discuss. So for the Parks Committee, a lot of the items that have been working on are coming to fruition. The Memorial Plaza is going in. We'll talk a little bit more about that later tonight. The Heroes Park art is being installed this month, and the shade has had a lot of discussion to the point where we have a design now. We need to get cost estimates, and I think it's probably ready to come out of committee and to the full commission as well. We can still do things that are being done in committees, like the sign-in sheets for through the marketing committee for activities. We can still bring those, share them with the full commission. We can do updates on pathways for the commission. We do have our pathways tours, and any of the parks items can come to the full commission. Having said that, if and when there is ever a need for a committee, there still is very much the possibility of saying, hey, we really need one again, and we can do that. I'm going to look over at Emily Kane as the attorney, but I think we have the ability to bring these committees back as needed in the bylaws. Is that correct? I'm seeing a yes.
Yes.
So we welcome feedback, but as we've talked about it over the last month, that would be at least the proposal for discussion, and I'll stand for any questions.
We need to vote. Is that something we need to make a motion on, or?
Madam President, no. You can kind of come to consensus, but the president is actually in charge of the committees, so it's kind of an executive decision that you can make with the input of your commission.
Okay. So, commission, do we have any input? Is anyone in disagreement with that?
No, Madam President, I think it aligns nicely with the way the other commissions in the city operate from my experience. And it's an as-needed basis, as Steve said. No reason to do additional work. So I'm in full support.
Madam President, I can just add my 2 cents. I think that, dissolving the committees is a positive development, and it gives us more time to focus on things together versus time catching each other up, and we all get the same perspective.
I agree.
Yeah, I think possibly doing like workshops like we did before be a very positive thing, and especially in the Pathways Committee, we kind of ran out of things to do for a while, and we're struggling, so.
We've sensed that with as we've been looking for agenda topics, we're like, we want to be respectful of your time, and we want this to be meaningful work. And so if it's not meaningful at the moment, let's dissolve it. It can come back later if needed. And we can always have pathway workshops along the route as agenda items as needed as well.
Cool. Good job.
Good. Yay. Okay, so the next item would be new business, and Cynthia Gibson is here, correct? With the Idaho Walk Bike Alliance for Walk-Friendly Cities for a presentation.
And you have a presentation you want me to bring up on a thumb drive or anything, or?
I do. I have
Okay. See how good I am at operating this.
Can I run it from here, or do you
Should-
move the slides?
We'll find out. I think you can advance them by hitting the space bar.
Oh, okay,
If not, I will advance them for you.
okay, good, great, thank you.
Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me this evening. I'm sorry, I'm had a flu, so I still have a little thing in my throat. I'm not contagious anymore, but I'm Cynthia Gibson. I'm with the Idaho Walk Bike Alliance. And so I just hit enter to advance.
Yeah, try the space bar.
Okay, thank you. So our organization is a statewide nonprofit, and our mission is to promote active transportation as healthy, safe, and reliable for all Idahoans.
Can we get you right up to the microphone
Oh,
to make sure we're
I'm sorry about
capturing
that.
you?
Okay, can you hear
Thanks.
me better? Okay.
Yeah.
You know, how do we do that? So we have board members throughout the state. I'm located here in Boise. We work a lot at the state capitol. We work with a lot of communities around the state, and this particular picture is of the governor when we did a walk to school day in 2016 to promote kids being able to walk safely to school. I actually participated in Walk to School Day out in Meridian this year with Senator Winder. It was really a lot of fun. But that's something that we do a lot of, and we actually do have legislation that we tried to pass last session to get state funding for the Safe Routes to School program. Are you all familiar with that program? Okay. And we got partway through the session. We made it through the Senate. We didn't make it through the House. So we are going to try again this year. Something else that we do is we believe that public space should be just that, public space. This is my 96-year-old friend Florence. Actually, she's now 97. And we took a parking space on National Parking Day and we turned it into a park. And so she's sitting there out on the street and we put greenery around it, and she just enjoyed a lovely day out in a parklet that we created. So that's just part of what our mission is that public space should be there for the public. So the walk-friendly community, what is this exactly? And this is something that I started with Jay Gibbons when he was with the Parks Department. So maybe last spring, I think we started working on it. The walk-friendly community is basically, and I might show you the application if I can access the internet later, but it's based on the 5 E's. It's a holistic approach to a healthy community. So the 5 E's are engineering, education, encouragement, enforcement, and then evaluation. And it's a national recognition program that is developed to encourage U.S. cities to establish and commit to a safer walking environment in their communities. And basically, it looks at safety, accessibility, mobility, and then the comfort for people to be able to walk. And the program is sponsored by FedEx because they are very concerned about road safety. It's also operated at the University of North Carolina Highway Safety Research Center, and it's actually funded by the U.S. Department of Transportation. So they have a lot of concern over road safety. It's not just walking, it's biking, it's motor safety, it's youth drivers, all of those things. So why should a community become a walk-friendly community? It is fairly cumbersome. The application is beefy. But there's some really good reasons why a community should participate. The first one is self-assessment. You'll basically have all of your pedestrian information in one document. So if you're trying to apply for grants or something, all of your information is there. The second thing is feedback. They do provide feedback on the application, and they do kind of score you based on the quality of information that you provide for them. And it's ranked on, you can either do platinum, gold, silver, bronze, and then honorable mention. And then they want justification for the things that you're doing. So if you're doing things right, then they say that's great. If you're not doing things right and they give you some critical feedback, those are areas for improvement. And finally, recognition. They want communities that are committed to safety in their towns to be seen as a model community for your peer cities. And they also would like you, and many communities feel this way, that they are taking the lead on walkability and community safety, and they are seen that way by other cities and also by their community members. So recognition, I'm sorry this is so small, this is the best I could do with this, but this is a map of the U.S., and you can see where walk-friendly communities are located throughout the country. And there are not very many. Not many communities know about it or have tried to receive this recognition. In Idaho, when our organization decided that we wanted to see more Idaho communities achieve this recognition, we have a board member in Sandpoint, and she marched down to City Hall, and they are now a silver level walk-friendly community, and it happened very quickly. She is a big walk advocate. The other community that has tried in Idaho is Coeur d'Alene. They've received honorable mention, which means that they haven't really achieved a walk-friendly community status, but they are still recognized as a community that's trying to do that. Those are the only two communities in Idaho that have, applied for this status. So it's very, it's not done a lot in Idaho, or really in any state, except for Washington, Oregon, and Florida, it looks like, has several as well. So, so why walking? Pedestrian deaths are on the rise. Our roads are becoming more dangerous for many road users, not just for people walking. And this is a concern of ours, where we would like to see communities be safer for people who are out on the roads, whether they're walking, biking, driving, in a wheelchair, riding their skateboard. There's also a cost associated with this. A friend of mine just crunched some data in Idaho for crash statistics. He looked at 1997 up to 2015. We have 19 years of data, almost 20 once we get the 2016 information. But he looked at the 15 largest cities in Idaho for that 19 years. And the city of Meridian had 6 pedestrian deaths and 140 pedestrian crashes, which actually is not that bad. But every death is a tragedy for the person who's killed, but also for the person who's driving the motor vehicle. And that's at a cost of about $86 million. So there's a cost to pedestrian deaths and all deaths on our roads. And so we would like to try to reduce all of that. So my crossing guards are telling me to stop. Can I access the internet? Do you want to see the application? I've started to fill it out. I worked on it last spring and summer with Jay. And then I involved Ada County Highway District. Can you access? So I incorporated Ada County Highway District, ITD, Compass, and then some folks from the city of Meridian to help me with it. So it is partially filled out. And I don't know if you want to see that or not. I can just show it to you so you have an idea of what the application looks like.
Madam President?
Yes.
Ms. Gibson, will the application show what the requirements are? Or what were the requirements to make a silver
It'll show
or
what
gold
you fill
status?
out. So you go ahead and you answer the questions to the best, the best that your community can do, and you submit it. And then they provide feedback on how your community has done. Rarely will a community submit an application and achieve gold or platinum. Typically, communities will submit it, and then they'll resubmit it over the years as they continue to improve the walkability of their communities. Does that make sense?
Yes. Can you touch on part of the sections of what they're looking for, though? The specifics of what exactly I guess the application will show what they're asking, but
Yeah.
what your goal is for us to achieve, if Meridian were to be one?
So they're looking at, engineering and planning and walk to school days and safe routes to schools and all of those things. Can I run the internet with this?
Not that I know of.
Oh,
I think that
so-
you might have to have me.
Okay, so it's walkfriendly.org. Okay, so now, so this is the website. If you want to look at this and see kind of just some more information on the program. If under Apply Now, it says assessment.walkfriendly.org, would you mind clicking on that, please? And then do you want me to come around and type in my information?
Here if you need to.
Okay, thanks. Okay. So as you can see, there are different sections to this application, and some we filled them out last summer, and some I haven't started the enforcement yet, but for example, I'll take the status of walking. And this is just some information, I got it from the website or various resources. It has crash data in it, which Tom Laws with Compass helped me find. It's got the percentage of people who walk according to the 2000 census. So, and then you can go into the planning section. A lot of this has been filled out. I've had ACHD help me with it, so, but I haven't put it into the document yet. But there's a lot of questions on if you have a plan on, you know, this is benchmarks or performance indicators. This is community adopted an ADA transition plan. There are state roads in most communities. Has your state DOT adopted an ADA transition plan? I got that information from DOT. Complete streets policy.
So Cynthia, as far as the application is concerned, is that something that you now would be working with Kim on? Is this something that you guys are working on together? I'm just trying to understand if this is something that you're needing input or you're just trying to explain the process you have to go through.
Okay. So I started this with Jay last spring, and then he left. And so then I met with Kim this past fall, because there was a change of staff, and talked to them about it. I haven't gotten very far because we sort of stopped at that point, and they wanted me to come and talk to all of you and introduce the concept to you. So I have been working on it. We received a small grant to pay for my time to work with the community on this. And so my role would be to just sort of make sure that questions got answered and, you know, going to ACHD so that one of your staff people doesn't have to do that, you know, and then bringing the information back. The application is due either December 5th, I think it's December 15th or June 15th. So twice a year you can submit the application. And she wanted me to just come and talk to all of you and introduce you to it, let you take a look at it, you know, see if you have any questions about it. So that's why I'm here tonight.
Okay.
Madam President,
Yes.
can you remind me, what were the benefits of becoming designated as one of these cities? Was it mostly grant funding you're eligible for?
It's basically you'll receive a lot of feedback on what you've already accomplished, and then you'll receive feedback on what you can accomplish, what you should consider looking at. I know that you've done a lot of work with your parks and connecting your parks and pathways and canals and all of these things, and in talking to them, they took a look at that when I talked to him about your community, the gentleman who reviews these. And, you know, that's something that they're really interested in. And that's something that they really like. They like that idea. And it's, so you could be seen as a community that has accomplished something that could be a great template for other communities. So it's to help you have your pedestrian information organized, to help you get grants if you want to get grants to increase your infrastructure or your education. It's to be recognized as a community who thinks this is important. And it's also to potentially help other communities who are trying to accomplish the same thing.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Just one second. So with the pathway system that we have, is that something that, through the application, it seems like you gain credits for the feedback? So because we have parks and pathways and signage and things that we've been working on already for pedestrian and biking travel, is that something that is taken into consideration for the application?
Yeah, all of that information would be put into the application.
Okay.
So that goes into the consideration of your ranking, basically.
Because I think as a community, we're pretty pro walk and bike, if I'm not mistaken, so, go ahead.
Madam President,
Oh, yes, sorry.
when Cynthia and I met, I believe it was maybe the first or second or third day I was here. But my understanding was this was a smaller community sort of assessment, but also the comparison that we made was perhaps akin to being a Tree City, like Tree City USA, almost like a seal of approval, a stated priority, something that you might include on the website, or just to kind of establish hopefully a standard that's increasing across the states as, this is a priority for us, but yeah. And then almost a rating in the sense that LEED would rate sustainability, or it seems to me, my interpretation is a cross between those two things as applied to walkability.
It's an honor to receive the walk-friendly community designation. There's only 2 platinum cities in the U.S., Seattle and New York City. Not that you could achieve, you could achieve platinum if you really worked at it, I'm sure, but I don't know. But it's not a, has anybody heard of the bike-friendly community applications? And there's bike-friendly businesses and bike-friendly universities and bike-friendly state, and that's a really well-known designation. The walk-friendly designation is not as well known, so to me, I feel as though it's maybe has a little bit more meaning to it, where I think walkability is something that touches all of our lives, everybody's life, no matter your age or, how you get around. And so the communities that receive that designation are very proud of it. It's an honor to achieve that. And hard work, too. The work you're doing is not easy, and it takes a long time. So to get to that point, is a big deal. Yeah.
Madam President.
Yes.
What I would just offer is that I think this is great information, and it's good to know that it is available. I think that we need to do some discussions and vetting on, time requirements and things like that, and because I absolutely want to do everything I can to be as walkable of a community as we can. That is, pathways are time and again and again and again the top priority for us and the citizens of our community. Having said that, the actual application form looks very detailed and time-consuming, and it sounds like we have some potential help from you in gathering information, but I just need to get to understand better, and this can happen later, but the time commitment and whether it would mean pulling Kim off of other pathway priority projects in order to find the time to do the application. So we just need to vet that. But would I like to be a walk-friendly city? Absolutely. Do I want to do everything we can to continue to promote walkability? Absolutely. So we just need to figure out how the form time commitment fits in with all the other priorities.
Yeah, understand. Great.
I agree. Awesome.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Cynthia. This actually seems pretty exciting, and hopefully we will have you come back maybe when that is lined out better. Yeah.
Maybe for an update.
Yeah.
Very cool. Great.
Thank you for your time. I really appreciate it.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for all your work.
You're welcome.
That application is extensive, so it's appreciated.
Sure.
Thank you.
Okay, so our next item of business and new business is the commissioner elections. It's going to be fun since I am running it and also, right? Okay, so I have a script. Thank you, Emily. This will help. This would be a regular election, right? Okay. Good, because that's the one I wrote on. So, this being the next order of business, the Meridian City Code directs us to hold elections during our December meeting. Our bylaws state that officers of the commission shall include the commission chair and commission vice chair. Our bylaws also state that the commission vice chair shall be automatically nominated for the position of chair. Myself, Joe Greer, is therefore our first nominee for the office of chair. This is awkward. Are there any other nominations for the office of chair? So therefore, myself or Joe Greer has been nominated for the office of chair. Oh, this is repeating itself. Seeing that there are no other nominations for a chair, I will now take nominations from the floor for the office of vice chair.
Madam President,
Yes.
I'd like to nominate Jessica West for vice president.
Jessica West has been nominated for the
She
office.
accepts that nomination, that is.
Madam President, thank you. Yes, I do.
Jessica West has been nominated for the office of vice chair. Are there any other nominations for vice chair? Seeing none, the nominations for vice chair are now closed. I propose that we vote on these nominations as a slate and by acclamation, since both nominees are running unopposed. Is there a motion to elect Joe Greer as chair and Jessica West as vice chair for the year of 2018?
So moved.
Get a second?
Madam President, I second.
So all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, the motion carries. Congratulations to myself and to Jessica West for the vice chair.
Good job.
Oh my
Thank you.
goodness. That's so weird. Okay, so moving right along. Next, we have a brainstorm of the 2018 All Commission goals. You have those in your packet.
Oh, yeah. Good times.
Kind of in the second section of your minutes, and then Steve has them up on the screen.
Madam President, would you like me to go over them?
Yes, please.
Okay. So you can see on the left, the current 2017 All Commission goals. There are 10 of them. We have taken a crack at the draft 2018 goals for your discussion, basically reviewing what has been accomplished from your annual report that was just approved last month, and what things are currently being worked on, what your recent priorities have been, and in an effort to hopefully streamline things a little bit, we have put together these, which I'll go through individually for your consideration. But any of these can be changed. They can be updated. They can be deleted. They can be replaced with something else. So these don't have to stay. These are just proposed as a starting point for you to consider. And we kept them in a similar order as they relate to the ones in the 2017. So the first one is kind of a carry forward of developing a connected pathway system across the city of Meridian with 5 Mile Creek Pathway. And then we have added and the Rail with Trail pathway as the top priorities, because those two seem to be the main focuses for design and construction work at the moment. The second one down is also kind of carried forward. I think it's exactly the same, to explore options to obtain, build, and develop partnerships or additional park space and or amenities, or for additional park space and or amenities. You know, we're always open to partnerships, and having that as a goal keeps that in the forefront of our minds. The next one, you did have as your third one, participating in the design development of the future South Meridian Regional Park. You've done that. You've participated in the design development. We're now through construction documents. It's out to bid. So we knew you didn't want to just remove South Meridian Regional Park from your priority list, because I know it's a priority, but supporting of the construction of the South Meridian Regional Park, and we've put in parentheses exploration park, because that is the name that this commission has discussed. It hasn't been formally named yet by the council, but that is the park and the name we are talking about. The next one is to engage other task forces, commission entities, and agencies through workshops and other outreach for partnership opportunities. We just finished one of those. The Idaho Bike Walk Alliance was one. We also have had, Safe Routes to School representatives and people from City of Eagle or Ada County or others. So if that's a goal that you'd like to see continued, to continue those coordination and outreach efforts, we can do that. The next one is to pursue improved tools and opportunities to engage citizens and stakeholders. That is the carry forward of number 5, and we're always looking for new ways to engage the citizens. I know that for the booths that we have at the community block party and things like that, we've just recently got one of those wheels that you can spin to, people love to engage with that way, and we're just looking for all kinds of different opportunities for outreach. I think tonight, testing the streaming that's officially going forward is maybe even a better example of improved tools to engage citizens and stakeholders. The next one, continuing discussions with the Meridian Fire Department regarding feasibility of future fire stations to be co-located with future parks. This one had been written specific to Bear Creek. You probably know there's been discussions about the status of that. There is a public meeting right now that Mike Barton is at, though at that meeting the fire department is officially confirming their intent to keep the fire station at the site they already own on Overland Road and not go into Bear Creek Park. However, that doesn't mean we're not interested in future partnerships. We're still very much interested in partnering with them at the South Meridian Regional Park as an example, and there may be other future opportunities as well. So this is just if you want to reconfirm the desire for that specific partnership for future parks. The next one is to continue to foster greater commission involvement and presence in community events. Advance notice and sign-up sheets, so that's come up, and it seems to have been going well. It was one that was added last year as number 7 on the previous years, and we just carried that forward because there seems to be interest in doing so. The next one is to discuss progress on goals and objectives in the NPR master plan. We do have the master plan. We do check in with it regularly. I have an annual report to you on those goals, and seems like that needs to be kept in the forefront as well. The next one is to specifically coordinate with the City of Eagle to plan for connections of our pathway systems. That could be broadened or expanded, but this was kind of an outgrowth of what was number 9, exploring opportunities to build a pathway along Locust Grove Road to Chinden, connecting the Eagles pathway system in the Greenbelt. Commissioner Steele and I had been out and looked at some of the feasibility of that specific one. Kim has been to meetings with the City of Eagle. We thought maybe broadening it to just reinforce, because we have a really important connection along Linder as well as this one. We just want to we have a real strong goal to try and get our pathway connected to the Greenbelt. So that one seemed like a specific one that was of enough importance and interest to keep on. The next one is to participate and support Meridian Parks and Recreation Month to help foster community engagement. And Commissioner Greer, or President Greer, I believe, this was one that you had specifically requested to be considered for addition in the FY18 goals. So anything you want to say about that one?
We had a discussion during one of the committee meetings. Actually, I think it was Colin had a pretty good idea about what we could do for Parks and Rec Month, which is in July. And we discussed potentially setting up a booth every weekend for Parks and Rec at different parks and to have information. And we even talked about having a wheel to spin, which I think I saw an email that we have one now. So it was just an opportunity to try to get out there. We tried a photo contest for this past July, and we did get some feedback as far as the photos were concerned, but I think we could probably do a little bit more.
Okay. And then we looked through the recent priorities of the commission, as well as items that are in the upcoming budget, and making sure that we've captured the priorities related to those. So we have one for supporting the current efforts for ADA compliance repairs to ensure accessibility of Meridian's park system. The next one is providing feedback on plans for a shade structure solution at Kleiner Park Bandshell. The next one is recommend preferred options for space planning at Bay 5 of the home court, and that was a big discussion of the commission at the last meeting. And then the last one we have written right now is to participate in a grand opening celebration for Hillsdale Park and the entire partnership of the Hill. We've had the prioritizing the Hill as a commission goal in past years, and now that we're actually coming up with the foreseeable future of an actual grand opening, that we thought that might be worth capturing. So that's what we have captured for your discussion. So if there's any feedback about how we've done in translating the 2017 goals and the 2018 goals, and if anybody has anything they'd like to add or change or delete, I'll just pass it back to you, President Greer, for discussion.
Madam President,
Yeah.
I would just recommend changing a few of the action verbs so it captures the capacity that this commission has. Like the first one says develop a connected pathway system. That's not really an action that the commission can complete. That's more of the Parks and Rec staff. So maybe it could say prioritize a connected pathway system, because we're really just, my understanding is just a body providing support and feedback and representing the citizens. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Prioritize or support development of.
Very good. Support development of.
And then also coordinate with City of Eagle to plan connection of our pathway systems. I don't know how involved the commission would be with that partnership. Maybe it could say, like, support development of that partnership rather than actually coordinating it.
That one might be the same, where we'd be facilitating the support of the coordination rather than actually coordinating.
And I think what you're getting at is this a goal of the commission and worded as things you will do, or are these worded as things that the commission wants to encourage staff to do, right? And I think it's actually currently worded that second way, but your point's well taken. Whatever you feel, yeah, I think I'm fine with. Because there can be coordination at the commission level as well by inviting the City of Eagle here.
Correct.
Have them report to you and have your interaction with them. So
maybe what we could have at the top for the all commission goals are goals between the commission and the Parks and Rec department, so that each line item doesn't necessarily have to have an action verb that is specific to what is occurring, because they are both goals of both the commission and the department.
I don't know if I follow you there. I think most of the goals we have now make sense for the commission, like recommend preferred options and support construction. But we could have a list of just priority items that the commission and the Parks and Rec staff has separately.
I would agree. I think it's a good idea to have these written as commission goals. So if coordinating with the City of Eagle, support coordination with the City of Eagle, or direct staff to coordinate with the City of Eagle.
Okay.
It could be.
I see what you're saying. I think that's good. Cool.
Mm-hmm.
It's really one and the same, but it does make sense for it to be a commission. Cool.
You can tweak that however you'd like, but that's what I've got so far. Any other?
We need synonyms for support and just put it on all.
Madam President?
Courage?
Madam President?
Yes.
I'm just wondering, the goal that's continue to foster greater commission involvement, presence in community events through advance notice and sign-up sheets, that one seems kind of like an unnecessary goal to me, because we all are volunteering for the commission. We all want to be at the events if we can, and telling myself that there needs to be a sign-up sheet, I just feel like that's an unnecessary, I feel like it just.
Just want to take the
added
phrase
work.
off and just continue greater commission involvement, presence in community
So-
I
events,
just think
period?
move it. But am I the only one that feels like that goal's
Or,
unnecessary?
well, I'll add to that. Before we had a sign-up sheet,
No, I like the sign-up sheet. I'm saying I don't
okay.
know if we need that goal listed, because I do like the sign-up sheets. I think that's, helps a lot of people, but do we need a goal stating for us to have greater involvement? Because I feel like we're all volunteering and trying to be involved as much as we can already.
continue to foster a better.
I don't know why they were, I just don't feel like the goal is necessary to me, but if it helps other commissioners, then
I think it's cool.
I guess it's fine, but I feel like it's repetitive.
I think you could take off the through advance notice and sign-up sheets. I don't know. I mean,
As long as we
Madam
have
President?
them. Yes.
I think we'd still have one.
I think you can combine these partnerships and the one that you just brought up, Jessica, into one more holistic, overarching. I'm looking at number 2 and 4. Those could be reworded and combined, and you could take number, which one were you just talking about, Jessica? The sign-up sheets one?
Yes.
You could combine some things into this commission, or this commission being more outward-facing and engaging with partnerships through things like events. I have to agree with Jessica. Whether I sign into a sheet or I don't, I signed up for this commission to be actively involved. If that was a problem in the past, was it fixed? And is this a goal or is this an accountability step? So if we're really looking at goals and what this commission wants to do, I would have to agree with Jessica. I don't see the need for a tactical requirement. But I do like the partnership. I think there's some synergy in 2 or 3 of these that can be combined together. Rather than have 14, I think you could get it down to about 6 or 8 with proper wording.
You want to propose some language? I can
Madam President?
type out to the side.
Yes.
Real quick, Mike, as far as part of that, if you look at the, like, say, 2 and 4, and who they're dealing with are totally different entities. One, we're out looking for partnerships with the parks as far as land, amenities, stuff like that, where the other one's just getting out into the public and getting, involvement there. So, as far as the goal for each one of those, they're different. And as far as the one with, that Jessica brought up, I'm kind of with her, I think the sign-up sheet's great, but I don't know if we have to have it as a goal, because I know I like to be as involved as I can. And having the sign-up sheets, though, coordinates that. I think that helps, so that we know which events we're headed for.
Simply the tool to implement the goal.
Yeah. Yeah.
Madam President,
Yes.
I can add my 2 cents. I am fine with these goals how they are now, and I would prefer to prioritize them in this state. I can see why it would be a benefit to combine the goals, but I prefer to keep them separate so that we can prioritize them. And if there's goals that some don't like and some don't like, then we can just prioritize them lower.
Good point. I agree.
Yeah, I concur.
Madam President, I would say if you want to do a top 10 list, and those that through proper voting techniques are the bottom 4, they don't get added.
So that's,
Yeah,
Steve
that's-
has it set
I
up
think
as
that's-
a voting.
Yeah. I do have one question. Maybe this is more for Steve or even Emily. What does this commission's involvement in ADA, if it's a requirement of the DOJ, are we really weighing in on that stuff?
Not so much weighing in on them as just wanting to support or ensure that, you know, those items are continued to be focused on and corrected, and we can provide feedback to you that, you know, the status of those later in the year as we make progress on them, et cetera. It's just if you want to be updated on those. I mean, we would continue to work on them probably regardless, but if there's an interest, then we can keep it here or not.
Okay, thank you.
So on that note, with the community involvement, I'm kind of on the fence because while, yes, it should be implied that being on the commission, you're involved in the community, it's not necessarily a requirement. We need to attend the meetings in order to be on the commission. But when it comes to things like ribbon cuttings or movies, we have the movies at the park where we have booths set up, we don't really get that much involvement. So we maybe have 1 or 2 people. So I would prefer to leave it so that it's a reminder that it is part of your goal. Or it should be.
Madam President?
Mm-hmm.
I would suggest then you put a number on it and say each commissioner will volunteer for up to 3 events per the calendar year. That seems more tangible to me than a sign.
I don't want to lock people in, though, on having to do more than attend the meetings. I guess only because I don't want people to not be on the commission because they feel like they're doing too much. We do have a lot of committees, Christmas, that could use some involvement.
All right, to help facilitate the discussion, what I might do, so you can see I've pasted them in here. I'm not going to give them numbers because that will confuse things, but I don't even know if I need letters. I was going to add letters, but maybe it won't matter. What we'll do is yeah, maybe we'll give them a letter. I'll just go A, B, and on. Okay, so we have A through N as potential goals for prioritizing. What I'd like to do is just give you 5 minutes, a few minutes, to determine your own rank, 1 through 14, with 1 being the highest priority, 14 being the lowest priority. And then we'll go through each of you one at a time, and we'll just go down the list, A through N, and have you give me your numbers. So I think that should be clear. So I don't want you to give me 1, 2, 3, 4 in order. I want you to give me A, B, C, D in order. Does that make sense? So take a few minutes.
So if A is 4 on our list, we go 4, we just go right, just give you the number.
4,
right
3,
on down.
1, 2, whatever. Yep, and we'll go right down them. So take a few minutes, and we'll come back after you've had some time to put numbers to it. question?
Yes, so going into that community involvement and the last item for participate in the grand opening celebration, would that not be part of that?
Not part of what? Sorry.
Part of the community involvement?
Sorry,
The
not part of
Hillsdale-
community involvement?
Yeah, would it not be part of
It could be.
being present?
Yeah, it's just it could
specific-
very much be rolled into that one. It's just more if you wanted a specific item related to the Hill, because it's been its own goal in the past, but no, there's no reason it couldn't be just part of the involvement under G, involvement and presence in community events.
Okay. So maybe we could add grand opening celebration in that community involvement, i.e. like ribbon cuttings, grand openings, et cetera. Just to be specific on what community involvement is, right? Because we're here, so we're already involved in the community by being part of the commission, but
I don't know, we've already got people working on their votes. Is it okay?
I know, sorry.
I'm okay.
I was writing them down, and as I saw it, I thought,
But I can see, that's just like a specific event, right?
right.
Where we don't have specific lines for movie night or community block party or other
Right.
things, so.
And if
No
that,
consensus from the commission?
if that doesn't make
I
sense,
think you take it off, actually.
G?
No, they're talking about taking off N.
Which one?
I was talking about N.
And
Participating in the grand opening, I think it falls under, because it's an individual event, and I think it falls under everything else we do.
any objections to removing N? Okay, I'm going to go ahead and
Just
remove
messing
N
up my-
and just say that it falls under the other. So a couple more minutes.
Need to figure out where I'm. Crap.
How are we doing? I see a few people looking up like they're done, others still writing, so a couple more minutes. So I think maybe we could go ahead and get started with those that are done. Would that be okay, Madam President? So I'm thinking we might just start over here on the left and work across. So Hannah, can I start with you? Again, number 1 is your highest priority, 13 is your lowest priority, and we'll just go top to bottom, A through M. And yeah, so we now have 13 instead of 14, but
Okay,
go ahead.
thank you. 6, 9,
6, was 6 the first one? Sorry. Okay, 6, 9.
2, 8, 7, 13, 3, 1, 10, 11, 12, 4, and 5.
Okay. Commissioner Nesbitt, are you ready?
Yep.
All right, go ahead.
1, 11, 3, 8, 12, 9, 5, 10, 2, 7, 13, 6, and 4.
Okay, thank you. Madam President?
1, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 5, 13, 4, 12, 6, 2, and 3.
Okay. Commissioner Steele?
2, 5, 11, 3, 9, 1, 12, 10, 4, 6, 13, 8, 7.
Thank you. Commissioner West?
2, 1, 3, 7, 8, 11, 13, 9, 5, 12, 10, 4, and 6.
Okay. Commissioner Bevan?
1, 2, 3, 8, 4, 13, 7, 12, 6, 5, 11, 10, 9.
All right. And Commissioner Peppin?
5, 11, 3, 12, 13, 10, 7, 1, 6, 8, 9, 2, 4.
Thank you. Okay, give me a minute and I'll start totaling these up. Okay, so the lower score is the, help me put these in order. This one's number 1. Which number's next lowest? 33? 2, 3, 4.
I is the next one.
Which one?
37. I is number 4.
On row 14.
Oh, yeah, 14, there we go. Oh, yeah, item I. I was looking for, I was like, got it. So that'd be 5.
4.
Oh, that's 4, got it. It's 4, this one's 5. Okay.
6.
Which one?
B.
E, 46, 6, and 52, is that the next number? 7, 8, 9, 10, 63. All right, did I get them in the right order? Now, I'm not sure I can do what Rachel usually did and now sort them top to bottom. Let's see. Is that? All right, didn't hear you. Yeah, come here.
Thank you.
I'm a poor substitute for Rachel.
Feel your pain.
I think anyone's a poor substitute, Rachel. You
Kidding.
can't substitute her.
She's awesome.
I know.
Column B.
B values, actually, we don't want the top.
Yeah, we just need to start there. There we go. Now. They move? It looks like they moved. So, okay. So, as a combined score for the entire commission, the top priority would continue to be the supporting the development of the pathway system, followed by South Meridian Regional Park, followed by shade plans at the band shell, followed by coordination with the City of Eagle for connections, recommending options at the home court, exploring partnerships, commission events or involvement at events, engaging other task forces, commissions, et cetera, discussing progress on the master plan goals, the supporting Parks and Recreation Month, pursuing improved tools for engaging citizens, continuing discussions with the Meridian Fire Department, and supporting current efforts for ADA compliance repairs as number 13 rounding out the list. So, any discussion? I think the thing we need is a motion and approval that as a group, this represents the group's overall priorities, but I'll turn it back to you, Madam President.
Madam President,
Yes.
I'd like to make a motion that we approve the prioritized goals for the commission.
Hannah Sturdivant seconds.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Okay. We are 2 minutes ahead of schedule.
Wow.
Old business. I do not see Mike Barton.
So I'm going to take his place because I did send him to the Bear Creek meeting. So.
Correct. So we have the Kleiner Park Memorial Plaza tree update.
I think I can run this from here and then I can see a little better. So we wanted to come before you tonight and give an update on the Memorial Plaza. We talked last month about the fee structure and things like that, but we specifically wanted to talk about the tree and as well as give you an overall overview. So again, this is the layout. It's 8 foot wide, 64 foot approach on the sidewalk, and then the plaza is 24 by 24 with 2 bench pads on the sides. I think a picture's worth 1,000 words, so I'm going to jump to this because that's what if you went out there today, what you would find. The sidewalk comes in from the parking lot. It's there adjacent to the pond on the backside of the senior center and to the west of the Rock of Honor. There are portions of that what looks like gravel in the center that will be the initial brick installation on the 2 sides, and then the center is the area that will remain for the tree. Here's another view of it looking more directly toward the pond and the interior of the park. So the tree that we are proposing that we plant in the center of this is a butterfly's magnolia. We've been actually challenging our arborist quite a bit to come up with what he would recommend for us in this location. It is a unique tree. It's one that's not in the park, so we didn't want to plant another sycamore or a maple or a honey locust or something like that. That would just be another one. We're looking for a specimen type tree that would be unique in there. A little bit of information about it. Butterflies is a deciduous magnolia tree that grows between 10 and 20 feet tall with a similar spread. Its green leaves are oval shaped. The tulip-like bright yellow flowers that you just saw are 3 to 5 inches across, and when fully open, they reveal vivid orange stamens. If temperatures are higher than normal during flowering season, the flower color may be somewhat less intense, but each flower has up to 16 petals. It says how it's available commercially. Its hardiness is really important to me because it says it's hardy down to zone 4, which is the colder zones. We're kind of in the middle of its hardiness climate, so it should grow well here. And one of the reasons why I wanted to bring it forward is one time I think our vision had been a bigger oak or something, a big shade tree of some kind. But given the space that we have to work with, I think a smaller specimen might work with more shade trees around it on the outside to provide that enclosure and shade. So we just wanted to bring this back to you, again, to avoid any surprises and make sure that everyone likes the direction, and I'll stand for any questions.
So my question, if I'm not correct, Kim, a magnolia tree, when it blooms, is early spring and the blooms last not very long?
I think it's a matter of weeks. Yeah, it's not months.
Yeah, I think most of the spring blooming trees are not that long of duration.
Okay.
It is pretty unusual, you probably know, to have yellow blossoms on a magnolia. They're usually pink
Yeah.
or white,
Yeah, they
so
are
that's
usually pink.
kind of distinctive.
Okay.
I have a question. So when the flowers aren't on it, will there be leaves? Will this be a green tree most
Yes.
of the year?
Right, so it is deciduous. It will lose leaves in the winter, but most of the year it will be a green leafy tree.
And how big will the initial tree that we're planting, it says it gets 10 to 20 feet, but how big is the size, the largest we can put in there initially?
Well, it might, I don't, the caliper is probably
yes.
more important than the height, because you can get a 10-foot tree or an 8-foot tree that's, we're gonna, I don't know what's available. Would need to check, but our goal would be something in the 2.5 to 3 inch caliper range, so that it's big enough not to just have someone walk up and snap it off. That's the size we typically try to plant. Also, if you try and plant a tree that's too mature, they tend to get stressed more, and you get more dieback, and they have more problems. So if you get something in that 2.5 inch range, I think that would be the goal.
Was there any concern about bees, being that this is a large flower tree?
I
No?
I think that, you know, any flowering tree might have that issue, but it's a good question.
I got a flowering tulip, and it's very similar to that, and it doesn't have any problems. It's beautiful for about 2 weeks.
Right,
And then
it's short, it's a pretty short blooming season.
Do magnolias stink? Don't tulip trees stink? Isn't that why they're not?
Not too bad, no.
Like a-
They actually don't smell bad at all.
Boxwood stinks. Oh, sorry. It does, it smells like cat urine. The other question, so when we do lose the blooms, will there be anything else planted? Like, will we have some seasonal flowers maybe, so we have something
So
that's blooming?
the areas that you see kind of in the dark bark areas will be planted with taller grasses, shrubs. We're also getting some trees in here. If you think of the area around the labyrinth, or, you know, we have planter areas that kind of give a sense of enclosure. Well, this won't be as wide as, say, the labyrinth area. The concept is similar, that we want enough plantings in there to provide a sense of buffering from the parking lot and to provide, you know, some sense of enclosure. So, yes, there will be additional plantings, but not in the center where the
Correct.
specimen tree will be.
So will there be something that is blooming all season? I guess that's what I'm getting at. Are we going to have something ornamental that flowers but blooms throughout the entire summer? You know,
So
like-
we've been focused more on the idea of enclosure than seasonal color, but if you're saying if seasonal color is important to you in the surrounding plantings, that's something we can incorporate as well.
And are any of the plants, do they have winter interest? So when
I think we would
everything
definitely want
is
that.
ugly, do we have some evergreen or?
Evergreens or some of the
not
smaller
necessarily conifer.
red twig dogwoods or things that, you know, red stems,
Yes.
evergreen, things that provide year-round interest.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think color would be great, you know, besides just.
Additional
like
color,
a green.
year-round interest are some of the things to focus on with the plantings.
Madam President, I just have one more question. I don't see a lot of magnolias around in the area. I mean, are they susceptible to certain like disease or pests that typically keep homeowners from planting them, or? I mean, I do see tons of tulips and certain other trees, but I don't recall seeing a whole lot of magnolias here currently, so I'm just wondering if there's a reason why we don't normally have them.
Yeah.
I think they've been propagated, so I don't think that is that correct? Ask the expert over there.
I wouldn't claim to be expert. Madam President, what was your question specifically?
The question, do you want to?
Diseases or pests?
Are
with
there
the
specific
magnolias.
diseases or pests in the area that this tree's susceptible to? Because I just don't, I mean, it doesn't seem like we have a whole lot of magnolia trees, so if this was an option for homeowners, I'm just surprised we wouldn't see more yellow magnolias all over the valley.
It may be a newer cultivar. I mean, I'm not familiar with yellow, so sometimes when they come out, trees can be trendy. We were talking about trees that smelled, and the flowering pears for a while were very trendy, and they were everywhere. And people try not to plant them so much anymore, so it may be more on the cusp. I live in Boise's North End in a much older neighborhood, and there are quite a few magnolias. So it may have been trendier then. I know there are a few.
And there are some beautiful magnolias right here along Meridian Road as well. At least there have been in the past.
Okay, thank you.
Question.
Madam President?
Yeah.
Just before I forget, I can give an update on MIAC's participatory budgeting process, because we're kind of on that topic. This year I get to work with Mayor Tammy to kind of structure that process. And the past 2 years, both projects have been Parks and Rec related, and the Parks and Rec staff has executed them. And just on Monday in this room, we had 3 MIAC members present their topics. Several months ago, they presented like physical documents, and then the mayor's staff and the MIACers looked through them for feasible ones, and 3 of them came for. I just wanted to give you an update that 2 of them are related to Parks and Rec.
Are they?
One of them is like, they want to implement a freak alley sort thing in downtown Meridian. The other one wants to purchase flagpoles and flags to represent Idaho's ethnicities, and they would want them to be displayed in a park somewhere. More developments on that one. And the other one is to purchase tiles that generate energy when walked on, and they could either be in downtown Meridian or in a park, and they could either power lights or art sculptures, and they're going to keep continuing to develop them, and we've encouraged them to reach out to you and Mike and the Parks and Rec staff, but that's kind of fun. Most of the proposals are always, how can we add fun aspects to our parks? So I thought I'd let you know before I forget. We'll have the final vote next month.
Awesome, thank you.
So I guess I just ask if there's general consensus in moving forward with this as our tree selection, with the additional feedback that I've heard of making sure the surrounding landscaping includes additional seasonal color and year-round interest for things that still look good in the winter.
Perfect.
Maybe I'll ask for a motion so we can confirm that.
Could I get a motion?
Madam President, I move that we approve Mr. Sidaway's recommendations.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Okay. And this last item is actually coming off of your agenda tonight with regrets. The artist was called out of state to care for her ailing father and was unable to generate. The idea was to come forward with some actual models and things to represent the type of art that you had talked about for signage in South Meridian Regional Park. As you recall, it was kind of the cylinder with cutouts. One of the things I have learned that might, probably the main change is that there is not power running to the areas in the plans that are out for bid right now. So we would not plan to light our signs. And I know we passed around examples that were lit. So the answer is how do they still read? How do they look? And we've challenged her to take a look at that when she comes back to you with an update. But we'll propose this as a January topic and wish her and her father well between now and then.
So we have no workshops. So our next item would be staff reports.
Thank you, Madam President. I have 4 items for you. The first and most important on my list is to share this annual report. All of you should have a copy. I want to give some kudos to Shelley, who helped put it together. This is our department's annual report. Last month you approved the Commission's annual report to go forward to Council. This is kind of our picture version of some of the major accomplishments and priorities and tasks of the past year. I hope you will take it, read it, share it. If you know others that want a copy, we can get you one. We'll also try and get it online, so maybe you can share links to it. But every December, we try to put out an annual report of our accomplishments of that year. And this has been a big one for us. 2 new park grand openings in the last 2 months, and a host of other items that are captured in here. So I hope you'll take that and enjoy looking through it and reading it. The second is the activity guide. That is newly out, and want to make sure that you have a copy of that. You should have a copy at your desk, and I wanted to share that with you. They are now out. I'll let Colin talk about the new software that we're using for registrations that we're really excited about. That has been a huge undertaking. The third item I want to hit on is the celebration for Keith Bird's retirement. He is not here tonight. This is his last month as our city council liaison before he steps down. And there is a retirement celebration scheduled for him next Tuesday on December 19th from 4 to 5 p.m. here at City Hall, if you are able to make it. The fourth and final thing I want to touch on, and I won't get into the details because I don't want to steal the thunder from Colin, but I just have to mention Christmas in Meridian. It has been huge over the last 2 weeks. I'll just mention some of the what's, and Colin can get into other details, but you know, of course, the big ones being the parade, the Children's Winterland Festival, and with the parade is the tree lighting ceremony. But there's also all the things that not everyone remembers, like this big Christmas tree out here in the foyer that we coordinate decoration of, and getting the tree to Generations Plaza, which was donated by Billy Bowles this year, one of our volunteer extraordinaires, super volunteers. There's all the winter, I call it the winter wonderland of lights out in front of City Hall, plus all the snowflakes and banners and garland wrapping and everything that's on the poles up and down Main Street. It has been, we got the Santa's mailbox out front that kids are providing letters to Santa in. There is a lot that is going on through our department for Christmas in Meridian. Many of you have been involved in a variety of aspects of it, which I want to thank you for. Commissioner West, for your suggestion last month about the Elf on a Shelf theme, and I thought the float looked great. Commissioner Greer, with your involvement in leading the Winterland Festival, and got a story on KTVB that you were in, which was great. And anyway, just thank you for all the participation and involvement. Christmas in Meridian is one of our big times a year, and our rec division, you know, owns that and takes care of it and does a great job. But I have to recognize that as the director and thank you guys. So I'll stand for any questions with that.
I actually just wanted to say that going through the process and being involved, you also see how many staff members, I mean, honestly, none of it would be possible without everybody's hard work. And by the end of it, everyone's exhausted, but nobody ever says no. They're always willing to help. So I think really we should be thanking you and the Parks and Rec department.
It truly is a great team effort. Thank you.
They're amazing.
So I think Mike's going to stand on his report, and we can go over to Colin.
Okay.
No other questions for me?
Thank you. So Steve did mention Rec 1. That's our new software system. We went live with Rec 1. I've been talking about it almost every single month for the last few months, but we did go live on December 5th. And so far, we've had pretty good success. There's, of course, little hiccups here and there. We've been working through all of those, but we are, all the registrations are online now with the activity guide going out. All the classes that you see in there are available for online registration. And so one of the two big items with rolling out Rec 1 is the fact that we no longer charge convenience fees for online registrations. And so if you go online, you can register for the same price as if you call our office, or if you come into our front desk. And so we're hoping that that'll push a lot more traffic online and get a lot fewer calls into our office to make registrations, because in the past we've taken a lot of registrations from people who get all the way to the checkout point online and see that they have to pay additional to use that online service and then just call us. And so we're hoping to avoid all of that. And then of course it's kind of a wait and see at this point as to the online facility scheduling platform. So it's up and available for people to see what facilities are going to be available, but it's just closed right now because we're not taking online reservations. But come February 1st, that platform will be kicked off, and we will probably do a lot of the same stuff that we're doing right now, fixing little bugs and getting our process set so that it's more streamlined. But it's looking really good so far. We're getting a lot of great feedback from our instructors about their online portal where they can go in and access their rosters and email their participants and things like that. So far it's gone really well, and we're super excited to have made the transition. And so I invite everybody to go and look on the website and go see what the new system looks like. So Rec 1 is up and running. The next thing I was going to talk about is our website. So now that we are going to be pushing people online as much as possible, we're going to make a concerted effort to update our website. And so I've met with our the web developer up in IT to hopefully, well, IT in general, they just gave an update to council yesterday with their annual report, and one of their big items right now is kind of reconfiguring the editing function of the website. We have a software system right now called the CMS, which is very difficult to work with, and so obviously the web developer, she's very good at that type of stuff, but people like me, people like, we're not web developers, and so it's very, very difficult for us to get the formatting correct, get it the way we want it to look. And so for the most part, our website, is not that great. There's a lot of text, there's not very many pictures, there's not very many links that go to the right places. And so we're going to be working a lot on getting everything so that the busiest or the most popular items are right up front, as opposed to and burying the things that aren't nearly as popular. And so if somebody wants to rent a park, if somebody wants to reserve a class, there's big buttons right on the front page that go to those specific areas. And so we're starting with the homepage. And so the web developer in IT is going to be bringing us back some concepts to look at as to what we want our homepage to look like here within the next month or two, and then we are going to just kind of trickle down from there and start hitting every page within our website, and hopefully get it looking pretty sharp over the course of the next year. Next item is we have a new camp coordinator position that I think I've mentioned before. It is currently out on the website and open. The camp coordinator position is going to start part-time in February, so it's a part-time position between February and the end of May, and then they work full-time during the summer camp season in June, July, and August. And so it's a seasonal position that works part-time for about February, March, April, May, and then full-time for 2.5 months or so. And so ideally what we're looking for is somebody, potentially in the education field where they have the summers off and they can work full-time. But then they also have the availability to work some part-time to help us get the camp built over the course of the spring. But that position is out online right now. If anybody knows of anybody that might be good at something like that, we're pretty excited to get that person on board, because we're then incorporating a third summer camp site with the addition of that position. So we'll have 3 summer camp sites next year, and after that, we're hoping to increase even more, because our agreement with the school district includes up to 5 summer camp sites. And so we've not taken it that far because we simply don't have the bandwidth to do that with our staff, with our current staff. But now that we have a position that's going to be dedicated to the summer camp, we're hoping to really start to grow that program. Steve mentioned Christmas. That was the big thing over the course of the last couple weeks. And I also wanted to just take a moment to thank everybody that participated and brought all the ideas and enthusiasm to the parade and the Children's Winterland Festival. I thought it went really well. Some of the highlights that we took away, it appears to us, those that have been there every single year, there's getting to be a lot more commitment from the community as a whole to put together really cool floats. And so the level of the quality of the floats is going up every single year. You can tell that, in the first couple of years, it was pretty clear that a lot of the floats were thrown together in the last couple weeks prior to the parade. But this year, you can tell there's some planning and construction and a lot of effort, a lot of time going into some of these floats. And it's just a really, really encouraging sign to see how much people are buying in and committing to making it a community effort. And so that's really makes us happy. And then, of course, we changed the route this year. We made it a little bit longer. And what we're hoping for, we think that worked pretty well. Even though 2nd Street was a little bit sparse, we think that if we continue this route year after year, that it'll fill in. And that's really something that we want to move towards, because we're in year 5 of the Christmas parade. And I think there's only been one time when we repeated the same route twice, year after year. And what we need to get to at some point is to do the same route year after year so people can know what to expect year after year. And I think we've gotten there, and I think we want to continue the current route that we have. And with that being said, there's always challenges that we need to overcome. There was a little extra time now that Santa goes all the way around and finishes the route. There's some downtime on the stage. And so we're always open to ideas. You know, for those of you who were there, with this being the first year of that route and configuration, we'd love feedback, love to know what you thought as a participant in the parade or a spectator. And you know, we're considering even using a second Santa potentially next year so that it's a little bit quicker, so we don't have to get him from the end of the parade back to the stage. You know, making sure that the first Santa is gone and out of sight, and then, you know, puff of smoke and out comes the next one, and you can continue the event from there. So we've got all kinds of ideas in the hopper, and so now's the time to throw out any of the thoughts that you had in being there. But again, we really appreciated all of the time and effort that you put into helping us make the commission float was fantastic. So the park staff deserve a lot of credit for that, but I really loved the participation that we had this year. And then final one that I wanted to mention, on the sports side, we had the Holiday Classic Volleyball Tournament took place in November since our last meeting, and earlier this month, Tyler went out. He had about $3,000 in revenue from that tournament, and so they went out and they did their annual shopping trip to Walmart. They bought presents for 57 kids, about 315 gifts, and it was really, it's really cool to see the back room of our department at that time, because we've got the volunteers over here working on all the Santa letters, and then we've got the volunteers over here with rows, tables and tables of wrapped gifts and working on getting all that. It's a Santa's workshop back in our department. So it's a lot of fun to have all these volunteers with all the Christmas spirit coming through and kind of livening up the office all the time. And so I really enjoy that tournament in particular, and what we're able to do for the kids of Meridian. So that's about all I had. Any questions?
I don't have any questions. I was up there, though, and I did see everything going on, so it was pretty impressive.
You guys did a great job.
It's amazing. The one thing so I was on the stage waiting, but I think the mayor did a good job of improvising with leading some songs after the band was finished playing. So as far as I was concerned, because I was in such hustle myself, I didn't see a delay, so I wasn't sure if there was something that was noticeable.
So, Madam President, I think the downtime between when Santa passed the stage on the float and the time that he actually made it back was longer than what we wanted it to be.
Okay.
And I think it's longer than, I think it needs to shorten up. With that being said, we engaged the Rocky Mountain High School band in, they followed Santa's float this year, which was a new thing, and instead of Santa stopping, the band is who stopped and put on a performance right there, kind of, Macy's Thanksgiving Day parade style, where you just kind of stop and turn and put on a little performance. But that was, their performance was put together, that they did in front of the stage, was put together within the last couple weeks before the parade. We think that with more lead time for that, for the band director, these guys choreograph halftime show marches and things like that, and have a lot of skill in putting on a performance. And we're even hoping and going to be suggesting to them that they maybe team up with the Rocky Mountain Choir potentially to put on and choreograph more of a and fill up that entire time with singing and, flag team, whatever it is. But we think if we give them a little bit of time and allow them to, run with the idea, that they could do a really good job of putting together a performance for the community while we wait for, because there's still going to be downtime no matter what, because we have to wait. Part of the deal is we have to wait for Santa to get around the corner and then pass by Idaho on 2nd Street, or else there will be this, wait, he's there, double take type of thing where you could see both of them at the same time down Idaho. And so we have to at least allow Santa to get around the corner, past Idaho on 2nd Street. And so that's going to still be 10 minutes or so of time. But we think that with a little bit more advanced planning with Rocky Mountain High School, that we can really make that time not feel like downtime, make it feel like we're continuing the momentum of the event towards the tree lighting.
Madam President?
Yes.
We did notice the delay but we kept thinking the tree was going to be lit. So we kept going back and forth between the stage and the tree, because then there was some talking and some singing, and then there was silence again. So we're thinking the tree's going to be lit. So we did notice that, but it wasn't too bad. But I know that there are some organizations or choirs that sing, even like the Bass Choir or something like that. Maybe one of them would be willing to come and just sing or start sing-along songs for all of us that are sitting right there by the tree, because everyone, once Santa goes, everyone condenses right around the tree, the people that were on the side roads after he passes, because they all want to see the tree lit. So I do understand what you're saying. It would be nice if there was something additional for us to listen to, or at least know that we don't have to stare at the tree constantly, because it's going to be a little bit. But then once he comes and then they start saying, okay, are we ready? Let's do the countdown.
Yeah.
It does make it apparent, but there was some time there.
Absolutely, yeah. And we definitely want to fill that time and not have it feel like downtime, like you said. And, the band could be really cool. We really liked the idea of the sing-along. I mean, it's a community, it's intended to be a community together, getting the community together type of an event. And so a sing-along fits so well with something like that. But I think what we decided is that, we need to make sure that we know which songs we're going to sing ahead of time, because there's a little bit of confusion in which songs were being sung. And then it would also maybe be a good idea even to engage some choirs or just local groups. It doesn't even have to be choir. It doesn't even have to be people that are good at singing. It just has to be people that you tell. It just has to be groups of people that you tell ahead of time, hey, we're going to do a sing-along. This is the song. Disperse among the crowd and help get people singing. Because I think that was maybe part of the, trying to get people to sing just by encouraging them from the stage was it seemed a little bit tougher. If you get people just around the crowd that kind of help lead the charge, it could go a lot better.
Yeah. I think that'd be awesome to have people that know the songs helping.
Yeah.
Staged in the audience.
Planted in the audience.
Really good
yeah.
thing.
We did have a suggestion for the songs to have something up with the projector, so that there were words to the song, so that we had
that's a
a
good
list
idea.
and had the lyrics, so that people would know what the words
That's
are.
an excellent idea.
With the bouncing ball on that.
I actually already have a company willing to sponsor that, so I was on top of it.
All right.
Madam President,
Yes.
I was there taking pictures, and it seemed like a really long wait for Santa Claus to me. My first time there, but yeah, I thought, well, there's something wrong, something happened to him. But yeah, now it makes sense now that he's got to go all the way up, around, and back. So the thought that comes to my mind, you guys are going to shoot me for this. What if, I mean, maybe this has been done. What if the parade went in a counterclockwise, kind of the opposite of what it did, so that basically Santa ends up almost at the end of, when he passes there at Idaho and Maine, it's almost over. Problem is, if everybody sees everything going up 2nd or whatever the other street is, going north instead of south, is that going to cause everybody to line up over there, and there's maybe not as much room on sidewalks? And I realize that I'm throwing a wrench in there, but
No, we had Santa stopping at the stage. This is the
past?
first year that he went around, but it was mass pandemonium and
yeah, I know, it's
mobbing,
not
really.
easy.
So,
Madam President, I think we'd have the same issue, changing the route with people that were standing between
Yeah.
there and City Hall and further. But I think the main point that you're trying to get at is a good one. The
Yeah.
length of time is too long.
Yes.
We need
But what do you
to,
do?
we need to close the gap.
Yeah.
So I think we will work on that.
Yeah.
2 Santas.
Speed the floats up.
Projector.
Need-
When the first one hits the end, the other one steps up and.
What if you
work on
put
the gap.
what if you put the stage on the other side of Main Street, so that when he came down Second, he just hangs a right?
We had it
So,
on the other side.
so for the last 3 years previously, we actually had Santa stop and get off the float at the stage. And the reason that we went, so that actually worked really well from an event coordinator's standpoint, because the momentum of the event, I mean, you don't want that downtime, because like you want everybody to be excited and continue to be excited, and when Santa comes, that's kind of the top. It's hard to beat that. And so we had found that when Santa passed, it kind of went back down, right? Well, so we had Santa get off the float right there at the stage for 3 years, and the problem that we kept running into is that people behind the stage that were past the stage
Yeah.
didn't know, and they didn't see that he got off the stage. Even when we ended the parade at Pine, we advertised that the end of the parade was at Pine, people would still go around onto Pine. We had people on Pine clear to 3rd Street sitting, even though that's not an advertised spot to watch. They just kind of showed up and they looked they looked where everybody was, and they found a spot kind of at the end. And so basically you have once Santa gets off and the float continues, there's a bunch of kids, hey, it's Santa, and there's an empty sleigh up there. And we thought about the idea of just continuing to do that and continuing to advertise and continuing to educate people. But I think the decision, we just kind of felt like we were going to be banging our heads against the wall year after year and have the same problem always. And so this was the answer to that problem. And I think it's going to work well. I think we can take that 10 minutes and fill it with content that would continue the momentum of the event.
Yep.
But there is going to be a gap between when we can, if we're going to have Santa continue and finish the parade, there's no way to get around there being a gap between Santa going past the plaza and Santa coming up on stage. Because like I said, the worst thing we could do is have a Santa up on stage and the other Santa driving by Idaho on 2nd Street, and you can see them both at the same time. That wouldn't work so well. So there's going to be about 10 minutes, but I think we can make it work.
And if you want to be part of that coordination, you can be on the committee.
Yes, you can.
For Christmas and Meridian. On
Hey,
the
Craig.
committee.
Madam President,
It's working. You could be the second Santa. Serious, bro. Yeah.
I was just thinking, why does Santa need to be there to light the tree? Like,
We've had those conversations as well, and
be a lot simpler.
Well, so the question is, we light the tree, and then immediately after we light the tree, Santa is there available to start, and kids line up to visit with Santa. And so if you're going to have Santa there, he's got to be back in time to visit with kids. You may as well just wait for him and have him on stage to light the tree, because that is a very short amount of time between when he comes up on stage and when we light the tree. And so he's going to have to be back anyway. And eliminating having him come back and visit with the kids is not really an option. We've heard that loud and clear from several of the informal polls that we've taken among my wife and others. It's just like, no, you can't do that. And so, yeah, I think that was more of a, well, he's got to come back anyway, so may as well get him up there for the tree lighting.
Okay, that makes sense.
Colin, what if you did, I love Joe's idea of the projector, but if you did, because when we're sitting in the plaza and there was that dead downtime, it was really an element of just not knowing when anything was gonna happen. You could have like a countdown, Santa countdown, and have that all continuous to where it gets down to the last 5 seconds, and then you get the crowd into it. And we just didn't know what was going on.
So
Was probably the
information,
biggest
yeah.
challenge. So-
I think that's a great idea, utilizing, I can't say I remember what we had going up on the.
There wasn't, it went down. There
It was
wasn't
just-
anything on there.
It was just black? Or
Yeah,
it was just
went
nothing?
off, yeah.
And I know that the first year that we did that last year, we had talked about, because we use it for the Grinch before the parade, but then we had talked about during the parade, we still want it to be something. And so we talked about, do we have just a, snow falling type of background or a log fire background just displayed up there throughout the thing? But, we should utilize that, that side of the building. And I'm not sure that I would get behind the idea of a countdown specifically, because I don't think that we would ever be able to get it right, get the countdown accurate, because you still have the situation of where you're waiting for the Santa to get around, and you're never going to be able to know exactly. It's going to be a different amount of time every year based on how quickly the floats in front of them are moving. And so maybe not a countdown, but something that makes people understand that Santa is coming back. Just hang out for a few minutes and, listen to the band.
Right.
Yeah, I love that idea.
Okay, anything else?
Madam President,
Of course, yeah.
kind of along the lines of music, I noticed that the floats that didn't have music playing, it was kind of just awkward as they went by and there was no music, especially when you're near the stage and the commentators are commentating without music. So I don't know if you could ask all floats to provide music the same way that the commission float did, or if you could just play music at the stage, or just something to kind of improve that, because then a float would come with music, and then a float would come without music, and then one with music, and then one without music, and it was kind of just interesting. You know what I mean?
We could certainly, it's going to be tough to require that of all the floats. We try our best. I know that's one thing that Renee had noticed right from the beginning as something that we need to improve is the parade didn't really have a sense of arrival, because there was we had the color guard and we had the police cruiser, but none of it had any sound. And we were thinking, even at, having a drum line walk behind the color guard or something at the beginning of the parade to kind of really provide a sense of arrival as the parade goes down the road, because there was nothing. But otherwise, we do our best to try to spread the music out so that there's not long gaps of no music. But with that being said, we are also subject to, we're going based on what somebody wrote on an application that may or may not have changed since the time that they filled out that application. And there's really there's no consequence on their end for saying that they had sound and then not having it. Because, at some point down the road, I've been saying it since year one, I would love to get to the point where we're able to, juror our floats and say, you know what, you didn't do a very good job last year. I think I'm going to give somebody else a chance to improve it, but we're not there. I don't know if we'll get there anytime soon. So far we've been able to. We've not turned anybody away. We've always ended up with around 50 to 55 floats. It's just kind of worked out that way, and so we've never turned anybody away, and we've never really been short. But if we can get to that point, we might be able to have a little bit more clout with our floats. But until then, I think we take what we can get.
And honestly, because we're kind of going down a rabbit hole here, we have a committee for this, so I would really encourage, if you have something that you want to do that has to do with the parade or any part of the committee, or any part of Christmas in Meridian, please be on the committee, because we're kind of getting a little deep. Okay. Do you have anything else? Okay, we're good? More staff reports. Okay, so I need a motion to adjourn.
Madam President.
Yes.
I would like to make a motion that we adjourn tonight's meeting.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? We are adjourned.